Salma El-Wardany at breakfast. BBC
Radio London.
Good morning. It's 7 minutes past 8. As you heard there, Waterloo, it's out. Don't go there. Waterloo is where your travel plans did surrender. It's not worth it. Get yourself back to bed if you're planning on travelling into Waterloo. Take me with you, though, won't you? That'd be good. It's 7 minutes, like I said, past 8. Lots to come on the programme. But before we get into anything else, we're going to head over to Finsbury Park. Now, the weather is starting to get better. This week would not have you believe that, with the storms and the rain that we've been having, but it will be turning as we head more firmly towards summer. Lots of London's parks will be hosting musical festivals, gigs, lots of activities. And in North London, Haringey Council has plans to book major events at Finsbury Park for the next 5 years in a row. But some residents are not happy about that. Our reporter, Barry Caffrey, is at Finsbury Park this morning. Morning, Barry.
Hello, good morning to you, Salma. Yes, it's a beautiful morning here. The sun is out, but quite windy here in Finsbury Park. And it is, I would say, relatively quiet this morning. We've got a couple of joggers, we've got some cyclists, and we've got a couple of dog walkers as well. And I suppose it's just a typical park at this time of year. But come July, it's going to change because we've got a music festival which will come here. We've got the Wireless Festival. It's come here most years, and Haringey Council have got permission to be here for the next 5 years. And as you said in your introduction, some of the residents are not very happy about that. Tom Graham has lived in the area for a number of years. He's from a group called the Friends of Finsbury Park and joins me now. Tom, just explain to people what it is like at Finsbury Park when these festivals come down here.
Well, look, thank you so much for coming down here. The mood of the park changes. So the whole southern section of Finsbury Park gets barricaded off with these huge fences. Access to facilities like the tennis courts is stopped. Parents trying to get out to the playgrounds find it harder. And what's sort of special about Finsbury Park is there's not many big green spaces. The park was founded 154 years ago as a space for people living in the city to find clean air. And that sort of tradition should continue today. If you look around us, all of the areas of Finsbury Park have got huge sky rises now. So many don't have
an outdoor area.
Exactly. So this is their garden. And our frustration here is that this should be a space for all. It's not just about that one festival you mentioned. It's a whole period of the summer. 6 weeks of set up and stand down where you can't get in. And if you thought that the money was coming directly back into the Finsbury Park area and you could see the improvements, perhaps some would be okay with it. Maybe not at the scale we've got now, but perhaps. But if you look around you, you see last year's damage hasn't been cleaned up, and we're 9-10 months on. It's not right. So we would ask the council to seriously rethink this proposal. This is not your festivals from the 70s, the 80s. We're not against well-managed, small, locally focused music festivals in Finsbury Park, but not at this scale.
So how does the park actually change during those weeks over the summer?
Well, it's a great question. So every day you'll have all of this lower section, this really beautiful area closed off. People that are trying to cycle to work, these runners, they won't be able to access the park area. All of the sort of material is trucked in here, so we see hundreds of lorries. Last year we tried to count up how many diesel generators there were in the park. We counted 38. It's enough to power a city of 7,000 people. It's insane. This green space, whilst you may not think it, is an amazing area for ecology and biodiversity. And one of the things we're so happy about the last few years is the community has turned out to plant, to make it a space for ecology and nature. And to be fair to Haringey Council, I think they're up for that. So what we find really tricky is these two objectives are in complete contradiction. There are really great spaces nearby, Alexandra Palace, Tottenham Stadium, Arsenal Stadium. We even called up the London Stadium last year to see if they had any availability, and they did. So we're not short of good places to do major events in London. We just don't think our park's the best place to do it.
What about people that may say, for young people, it's good to have a music festival for them not only to attend, but to look forward to prepare for, rather than maybe, doing things that they shouldn't be doing on the streets. And actually, the festivals do have to come to certain places. You mentioned Alexandra Palace as well. They often put up festivals too. Is it a case of, not in my backyard?
I'm hugely into festivals. I'm going to Elton John tonight. I'm a young person. I'm excited. I'm going to a venue that sounds like the right place to do it, with good transport links. It's well organised, it's safe. Last year we saw a crush. We saw the riot police turn up. This is not a well-managed thing for young people. And more to the point, these tickets are £250 for a weekend. They're now being offered on buy now, pay later. Are you telling me that's a sensible idea? We think this park is for a space for exercise, for recreation, for mindful space. And we think that's probably just as important as some of these other things. And if we kind of looked around us, there's many live spaces that would love to get some of these artists to turn up and play at their spaces. These are big commercial American events predominantly, and we think there's better ways to run a park.
So what happens next for you as a member of the Friends of Finsbury Park and for your neighbours? Because it looks like these festivals will go ahead for the next 5 years.
Well, look, we haven't given up yet, so we're hoping to hear constructively from Haringey Council. They're decent people, but we hope they can think this one through. We're going to keep working with the council, so we're not just about major events. Over your left shoulder, we've been fundraising. We raised £50,000 last year for a new skate park. We're working with the Met to improve safety in the park. We're working with the council to improve the ecology. So we're going to keep doing all of those things, but we seriously think Haringey Council and other councils in London, this is not just a Haringey problem, other councils in London should think about how they fund their green spaces. It has never been more important.
Thank you for joining me this morning, Tom. Salma, I want to tell you that we did invite Haringey Council onto the show. They declined, but they decided to give us a statement, which I will read to you. It says that the council feels that given the commitments in its manifesto to grow and expand the range of events held throughout the borough, securing the events at Finsbury Park over the next 5 years is part of fulfilling that commitment. Securing event bookings over several years has many benefits to the council, residents and staff working in the park. And it goes on to say that by agreeing the dates early, the council has security in knowing what income is expected and allows them to plan accordingly. And it says working over the longer term with the event organisers will allow us to develop further improvements that reduce the environmental impact of the events. All contractual and licensing controls will remain, and therefore should there be a major concern arising from an event, then the council will be able to take strong action against any event organiser, regardless of entering into agreements covering several years. But as you heard from Tom Graham there, Salma, not everyone is very keen on these events taking place at Finsbury Park, not only this summer, but to be guaranteed for the next 5 years. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Indeed it will. Barry, thank you so much, and we will keep an eye on what happens and bring it to you. If you're living in the Finsbury Park area, let me know what you think about that, whether actually when those events come, when those festivals come, it does hinder you, it does cut off the parks to you, it does affect your ability to walk your dog in that park, or to go for a jog or a run or just a little stroll and enjoy it. We get really possessive about our parks in our areas, and rightly so. Those green spaces are so important to Londoners.